Hi guys, today we're going to be learning a new stitch as part of one of my patterns that's up for sale. This stitch is a cluster puff half double crochet stitch. It's a great stitch because it gives you lots of nice texture. It's really easy to follow once you kind of get the hang of it, which is quite simple and it's easy to see where your next stitch is, so it's perfect for beginners. And the best thing is it works with any type of yarn and it has any number of stitches. You don't need to worry about having an odd or even number, multiples of 4 plus whatever your starting chains are. It's really, really easy. So I'm just going to do a quick little video to show you how to work the stitch. And I'm just using a nice chunky yarn so it's easier to see. And I'm started with 10 chains on my hook. So it's nice and easy there. So you're just going to work a half double crochet in the third chain from the hook, but you're not going to complete the stitch, so I'll show you how here in a second. So in you go, you're going to pull through a loop like so, and then you're going to yarn over one more time and go into the next loop. So this stitch is worked across 2 different stitches. So you yarn over, you pull through, you're going to have 5 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll yarn over one more time. Sorry about the clumsy hands, guys. And you pull through all 5 loops. There we go. I'll get a little extra little tiny bit there. Perfect. So that is your first cluster puff. So it is 1 stitch worked across 2. So your stitch count, you may think is going to change, but it won't, because you're going to work back into this exact same stitch. So it won't affect your overall stitch count. So to do our next one, we're going to yarn over just like you would for a half double crochet. Insert your hook right into this hole right here, which is our last stitch we just worked into. Insert it in there. We're going to yarn over, so we pull up a loop. So there's 3 loops on our hook, and we yarn over, and we're going into the next stitch, so right beside it. So we yarn over here, pull through a loop, and there's our 5 loops on our hook once more. We yarn over and pull all the way through, all 5 loops, which I find to be a lot easier when I'm not looking at it through a camera. So there is 2 of the puffs. So I'm going to continue to work through this row, and you can watch me as I go. So just remember working backwards in the last stitch and then into the next stitch. So it's like back to go forward, and again we yarn over in the back loop, the back stitch, sorry, we yarn over in the next stitch, and then over all of them. So like I said, once you do a few, you will realize how easy it is to do this stitch, and you'll be off. It'll be so fast for you. See how nice and big and puffy those guys are? They're really nice. Into the last stitch we worked into the new stitch. Just like this. We pull over all 5 on our hook. So now we're into our last stitch on the chain, which is not a problem. Nothing's going to be different here. We're going to work into this last stitch first and then into our next stitch, just like we've been doing the whole way through. The last stitch and into our next stitch here. Pull through all 5. Perfect. That's our first row done. Very nice. So I'm just going to go up and chain 2, and I'll show you where to work the first stitch in the next round. So I've just chained 2, turned my work. So here we go again. You can see all these big holes here, right? You see those holes? That's where you're going to be working into for your next round. So it's very easy to follow, especially for beginners. However, the very first stitch of your new row is a little bit different. So you're going to see this hole right here. You're going to work into that hole first and then into this one. So part 1 of our stitch goes into this hole right here, which may feel kind of weird, but you'll get used to it really quick, I promise. Yarn over into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. Again, I'm sorry, I'm much smoother at this when I'm not doing it on camera. Perfect, and there's our first puff of our next round. So again, we yarn over, work into the last stitch we were just in, pull through a loop, yarn over into this nice big hole, Nice and easy to find your stitches. And then we're going to pull over all 5. Perfect. There, and you can see the texture is just nice and fluffy. Really easy to work into. Like I said, once you learn the stitch, it's just all downhill from there. Really easy. And it looks a lot more complicated than it is, which is my favorite kind of crochet stitches. The ones that are like, whoa, that looks interesting. So yeah, I'm just gonna do 1 or 2 more here so I can show you the last stitch over here. So here we're still yarning over, and our last stitch and into the next stitch, pulling over all 5 loops on our hook. Why is it every time I say that stage of the stitch, my yarn always seems to catch? Oh, silly. So here we are in our last one. So again, part 1 of our stitch is going to be worked in the exact same spot we just were, and part 2 is going to be worked, see these 2 lines, just underneath those guys. So I'll do it here, show you. Into the first part of our stitch, we yarn over, and then we're going to into these 2 lines here. You'll be able to feel it with your fingers. It's a pretty clear spot. Once you feel it with your fingers, you know where you're headed. It's easy enough. Great, so folks, that is the cluster half double crochet stitch.